I spent 30 years with Unilever, Hindustan Unilever, and went across various countries. Worked, of course, in India, then was in the Philippines, then London, then Singapore.
If I recall, it's a little bit of dated data, is that HUL has produced more than 800 CEOs, and it will have increased more, right, by now. What is that secret sauce is really here? Why this institution keeps on building so many leaders and it keeps on giving so many leaders in the world? So what is the secret thing?
Traveled from Jaipur to Sikar for a confirmation interview with him while working the market.
Yeah.
It was 50 degrees and the road was melting.
Okay.
And my shoe literally got stuck. And that was probably the highest temperature I had experienced at that time. And I said, oh my God, the person, who am I to confirm this person who is working every day in this heat with his shoes getting stuck on the road, that there will always be people, whether reporting to you or not, who will be working in probably most of the time tougher conditions than you are.
Always hear, I want to do sales, or I want to do marketing, I want to do strategy, and then often you hear a lot of people are saying, I want to do strategy, and this is where we are. And so, what do you have to say for that?
By the way, I don't think marketing and sales are really that different a function. I think
I agree.
There are two ends of what is culture.
Yeah.
For us, culture is how do we behave with each other to achieve a common purpose in the best possible way and the fastest possible way.
A risk you would take again. A daily habit that keeps you grounded, because you talked about this. One line you live by. One line on all things people. We have a leader today with us who's got number of years of experience in the space of marketing, sales, and the general manager, CEO. He has experience across multiple countries, multiple geographies, and multiple categories as well. But more than that, he's also the leader who has seen lots of challenges and lots of areas to really tackle upon. But most important part is that, as we really know, what we really do here is to engaging with a leader, and title is one thing, but who is the person, what's then we really dwell upon learning a little bit around that, right? So welcome to this episode. It's a pleasure to introduce Sandeep. Here, welcome to our podcast, Sandeep, and it's always pleasure. I think maybe to start with, just to really share with you, is that this podcast we really do is for people who are very young age, maybe 1 or 2 or 5 years of experience, and you've had such stellar career and such stellar experiences as well. So from that perspective, if we can touch upon these areas, that's what we really do. So maybe I've not really done much justice. Maybe a little bit about you, where you're from, and how did you really land in marketing, and now here is running a very, very successful startup in a big conglomerate.
Yeah, you can call it that. Thanks, Anish. Great to be here and great talking to you. And I hope this conversation can be useful for all the 2 years old into their jobs, from a 32-year-old who's into his job, into his career. I don't know whether I've had a stellar career, but I would certainly say I've had some stellar experiences and working with some stellar people. So very fortunate to be able to do that. One of them, of course, being you, Anish. So the way I got here is that I walked out of my MBA college, walked across the street, and was fortunate enough to be hired by the company which was then called Hindustan Unilever Limited, which was literally right opposite my MBA college. And from then on, I spent 30 years with Unilever, Hindustan Unilever, and went across various countries. Worked, of course, in India, then was in the Philippines, then London, then Singapore. Set up business while I was in Singapore at Myanmar, came back to India, fortunately to be on the board, heading the beauty business, then moved to Dubai, then Jakarta, and then found my way into wanting to do something totally different, and have been working with the Aditya Birla Group, setting up their brand Indriya for the last 18 months.
Yeah. Wow. So many things to really look at, and I don't know whether it will be justice or not. But before you started career, a little bit more in terms of before that, what did you really do, and why you got into MBA or marketing? Yeah.
See, actually, okay, what did I do? So I grew up in India and did most of my education from a fantastic school, St. Columbus in Delhi. From there on, I went to BITS to do my engineering, BITS Pilani, and then to Bajaj for my MBA. Now, why did I move from school to BITS? I think I moved from school to BITS Pilani because I like science, and if you like science, then you kind of do engineering. So that's what I did. And actually, after I did my engineering, I wanted to really start working, and I did actually join a company for a few months. My parents were very keen that I should do a management degree. Fortunately, I got into Bajaj, which is another fantastic institute to study, and being in Bombay and close to the industry. Very practical, grounded institute. So very much matched with my DNA to some extent. So loved studying there. In our times, 32 years ago or 33 years ago, life was a bit simple. If you wanted to be a professional, there were not so many professional fields that were available. So either you became an engineer or you became a doctor. If you became an engineer, you either did an MBA or joined an engineering firm or went for MS. So the paths were kind of limited, or our thinking was limited, if we put it like that. So that's how I landed up doing my MBA.
I remember, I have a very fond memory of JBMS because we used to go from our office to Jamnal Bajaj to enter there and have something in the canteen.
The Shetty's canteen.
The Shetty's canteen.
Correct.
Yeah, which was yeah. So that's a very fond memory. Yeah. So, but HLL is such an institution, right? And there are I mean, it's called CO Factory, and one of them, of course, you are here as well. But when you really start there, and there is a little bit of really understanding of the consumer, and then more than that, anything, you really understand the overall ecosystem of the country and those are things. So how it was that point of time, and what are the things you really picked up, and then that I've heard you talking about some of these things also earlier. So that's when I'm really probing a little bit more.
I think I would still say if my son was to ask me which is the first company I should work for, I would just blindingly, without any bias, say it should be Unilever or Hindustan Unilever. It's a fantastic organization because it grounds you, it makes you see reality in a very grounded way. I think all of us, of course, have different experiences and different backgrounds. For me personally, why it worked was I lived in a very protected environment with my parents, and I hadn't seen a lot of India. Even though my father, whenever he used to go on tour, so he was working for a company called Goodyear Tires, and he was in the sales function. So whenever he used to go on tour, I remember hopping in. And if we had holidays, I would hop into the car, his ambassador with him, and he would take us from Delhi to Bareilly or Meerut or Agra, wherever he was going. So one did see a bit of India, but not that deeply. Going through the management trainee program at Hindustan Unilever, you really experienced India in many ways. I think one of the deepest experiences which I had was, of course, what was called the rural stint at that time, where we worked, I think we went for 3 months and lived in a village, hosted by a family in the village. So you literally stayed in a thatch roof mud house at that time. and you live the life of a villager, try to do something good for the village. Of course, you were given some other projects, etc. And I think you really saw a real India. I saw real India at that time. I mean, there were no toilets. You went to the fields. There was no place for you to take a bath, except in the tube well that was there in the village. So it was something very. It was an eye-opening and life-changing 3 months for me.
Yeah. So So I think it's, if I recall, it's a little bit of dated data, is that HUL has produced more than 800 CEOs, and it will have increased more, right, by now. What is that secret sauce is really here? Why this institution keeps on building so many leaders and it keeps on giving so many leaders in the world? So what is the secret sauce?
I think there are two things. One is the two words that come to my mind is, number one, being grounded to reality, to business situation, to consumer, to the environment you are in. And the second is the value system that gives you, which is just there in the organization. And I think that gives you both these two things, give you both a mental and emotional strength based on which you can do whatever you want. I think the weakest moments in life are when either you are not standing on the ground, or you're not sure of the value system through which to take decisions. I think because these two pillars are so strong and they get so ingrained inside you, they become part of your DNA, that you just are able to then take those as your foundation, and then everything is achieved.
Yeah. Rightly so, because that's the beauty there. Okay, so 32 years of experience. So maybe first 5 years, if you have to really talk about your experience, the first 5 years or 7 years or so, those are the foundation year in the career.
Yeah.
What is the one or two things or three things you would really advise anybody what to really pay attention to, and what was your fond memory?
Yeah, I think, it's a very nice, I find experience a very nice word, because I think those are the things that shape you. Like starting a job, the first company that you start your job in is an experience, and that definitely shapes what you think of work, what you think of professional life. It shapes you for that, right? So yes, my first 5 years, of course, were with Hindustan Unilever. So in terms of facts, I was about 1.5 years a management trainee, where I saw all the different functions, went to different locations, including the rural stint. And then the first job was an area sales manager, where as a youngster, I was leading very experienced salespeople who were double my age, and having to understand how they think and work, because they came from a very different background, but were much more knowledgeable than me, to see how we could make a difference in whatever we were doing. But in the first 5 years, I think what stands out for me, if I was to just try to think of, I think two things that really shaped me. One was the rural stint, which I talked about. And I think the second was my first job as an area sales manager, which was in Rajasthan. And the two things that helped me in Rajasthan, which shaped me in Rajasthan, was, number one, I saw a part of country, consumers, and a lifestyle which I'd never seen before. Rajasthan is culturally very rich. It is the largest state that we have in India. So being in sales in that state, and you're traveling across the state, you really see a lot of the people you're actually impacting and you're serving. Because you're just driving distances through various topographies, and you just get a sense of the vastness of what you are serving. And then within that, one experience that I remember is I had to go and confirm what we called at that time a territory sales in charge. And this gentleman happened to be a young guy, happened to be 2 years younger than me actually, happened to be in a city called Sikar. And I had to travel from Jaipur to Sikar for a confirmation interview with him while working the market.
Yeah.
So I traveled to Sikar, and at that time we used to have ambassadors in which we traveled non-air conditioned. It was summer heat. I got off the car and I put my shoe down, and my shoe got stuck on the road because it was 50 degrees and the road was melting.
Okay.
And my shoe literally got stuck. And that was probably the highest temperature I had experienced at that time. And I said, oh my God, the person, who am I to confirm this person who is working every day in this heat with his shoes getting stuck on the road and, you know, making these calls. And that was a very humbling, in a way, experience for me. Of course, I had to rustle up my breath and say, okay, I have to, you know, kind of stand up to this and, you know, work the 15 shops that he was going to do that day. So I think that was quite an experience, because it just reminded me that there will always be people, whether reporting to you or not, who will be working in probably most of the time tougher conditions than you are.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And then of course there is always dilemma is really there for people, and you always hear, I want to do sales, or I want to do marketing, I want to do strategy, and then often you hear a lot of people are doing, I want to do strategy, and this is where we are. And so what do you have to say for that?
See, there was always, there is, I think, an inherent salesman in me. I think it comes from my dad. My dad started off in Goodyear as a salesperson who used to go on a bicycle from shop to shop selling cycle tires. And he, of course, he retired as the executive director in the boardroom. So there was some kind of inspiration I got from him, and there was a salesperson in me all the time. So I was very happy to join Hindustan Unilever as a sales and marketing trainee and get into sales and have the experiences that I did. I think somewhere along the way, I started, during my sales stint, I started seeing consumers and brands a bit more closely. I think that brought the itch in me to go into marketing. By the way, I don't think marketing and sales are really that different a function. I agree. They are two ends of the same thing. So anyway, then I got into marketing. I think that again, you know, life was simple at that time. If you joined Hindustan Unilever, you joined either in sales, mostly in sales, or in marketing, and then you went to sales, and the salesperson went to marketing. Correct. So it was just a natural flow through which that happened. And I think the choices that you made were more in terms of which was the brand or what is the kind of business that you would want to go to, because the company always tried to put you or create experiences for you within the function, the experiences that you would like to have.
But do you think the same formula will work today as well? Because today's Gen Z, they want to do multiple things at the same time. The way the expectations are very different. So do you think that
actually, I think that especially between sales and marketing, besides the operational part, I think the two functions have fused anyway quite a bit. Meaning, if you're working for Amazon, are you doing sales or are you doing marketing? If you're doing an online business, are you doing sales or are you doing marketing?
Correct.
So I think these two worlds have fused quite a bit because of technology and change in consumer behavior and how people shop and how people think of brands. So I think those two worlds have fused anyway. So I think between sales and marketing, I think they are very fused. But yes, there are other places where if you're not an entrepreneur and you're working in a professional organization and a slightly larger one, you got to choose where you want to start learning about business and leadership.
No, and so since you're talking about the technology and things like that, and now AI is expediting everything as well. And what is your, there's a lot of hype as well, and there is a lot of things really happening as well. So how those things are really shaping, let's say, in your current context?
Yeah. I think, so first let me talk about technology and I'll come to AI. From my experience, I think as a professional or even as a human being, let me say as a human being, one has got to be on the forefront of change and accepting the change. The moment you try to resist or the moment you try to become skeptical of it, I think it's a big lost opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started my career, we didn't have email. We didn't have mobile phone, obviously. I had a steno who took notes and typed out letters and sent it to my field force, right? Unbelievable. If I had to, when I was in the field, if I had to communicate with the head office, I had to go into what were called long distance phone booths, where you went in and dialed the office and wanting to seek help or whatever. So I think you've got to be on the forefront of accepting technology. For me, the way when the whole buzz of AI came in, I said I just have to be out there and accept it. And one shift that I made in my mind is I removed the word negative. I think there's a negativity associated with the word artificial. So I never think of AI as artificial intelligence. I always think of it as accelerating my intelligence. So for me, AI stands for that. How can I accelerate my intelligence?
Oh, nice.
And that's how I've dived into it. I think it's a fabulous, if I can call it platform or technology or whatever. The amount that you can do, the amount that you can learn at speed is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And I think every day you learn more and more in terms of creating experimentative use cases for yourself personally. And once you do that, then you can start seeing how I can apply it even better to business.
It's true. I mean, for example, today, I mean, you are the engineer, I'm not, but if one has to do the coding, you just need to know English language, and you can still do the coding.
That's right.
That's what it is really there. But so that leads to me for really to dwell upon a little bit more on, if AI is really there, then what's the balance between human and accelerated intelligence? What's the balance, and how do you really practice that?
Yeah, actually, I hear this question a lot of time, Manish, and I struggle with it. And I struggle with it because I don't think there is any balance that needs to get created. If you accept it as, this is something that is going to help me bring the best output from me, then what is the balance we're talking about? There is no balance to be created.
So I'll tell you why I'm saying. So for example, there are a lot of predictions are there, and God knows what will really happen, right? But what really people are talking about is that in the organization, wherever the repetitive actions are being really done, right? And any function you pick up, 50, 60, 70, 80% is repetitive actions. And then human intelligence and the judgment really comes in as well. So the prediction is that whatever repetitive is really taking place, eventually that will get replaced by AI, and then human. So it will not be that it will replace everything, but it will be the balance, and then balance really comes in. So that's what I was really trying to say. Yeah.
See, I think this has happened in the past when we didn't have. When I started, when I was doing my engineering, there was no Excel sheets. There were logarithmic tables, etc., which you looked at. And then you took out the repetitiveness. Excel takes out a lot of repetitiveness. You can cut, copy, paste. You can add up, put formulas. So many things which otherwise were done on the calculator, etc. And then you find the productivity increases, and people's capacity increases. As people's capacity increases, I think the opportunity for growth, whether professionally or whether intelligence or increasing their intelligence, etc., also increases. So that's the way I look at it, and I think that's what, for me, that's what AI is about. It will up the bar on the average intelligence that people have. And what is intelligence? Intelligence is being able to use your mind in the best possible way given a certain set of information. So you'll just be able to increase your capacity of output manyfold. So I think it's only going to be good for us.
In fact, I was meeting your ex-boss, and he's our leader. He has been our leader, Sanjeev Mehta, and he was really saying that, he always says that he often asks this question to the board: is that in the board, how many of you really know and you've done the training on prompt engineering? Because it's also about because what you really ask and how you really ask.
Correct.
And then what really output you really get, and then it really accelerates your
Yes.
productivity, which is there. Anyway, yeah. So that's why I just
They always
remember-
say a good leader is a person who can ask the right questions.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's what it is. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. All right. So moving on is you worked in so many countries, and then that experience is phenomenal. From Myanmar to Dubai to Singapore to Indonesia, Philippines, and then phenomenal experience there as well. Tell me something story which is really dear to you, which you think has been very, very moving.
I think the story of living in, I think my wife and I are living in our 14th home since we got married, is a story in itself. So that's been great. I think it's wonderful to have a partner who's as adventurous as I am. So it was great to be able to move around, and also right country, right time in terms of kids, etc. But I think the first country that I moved when I worked outside India was Philippines, and that was very telling for me because for two reasons. Number one, in terms of how I saw myself and how I saw India, both of them. So when I went to the Philippines, I suddenly realized that that when you are working with a new culture and a new set of people, you have to dive deeper within yourself to understand who you are, to be able to adapt.
Yeah, true.
Because you can't adapt as a human being, but you can adapt. You can't adapt in terms of who you are, but you can adapt your style to be able to match. And I think that's where I understood myself much more in terms of who was I and what was my style. And I understood the difference between that. I remember the first meeting that I had in the Philippines. I still remember it very clearly. I was sitting with a lady who's a very good friend of mine now. And we were having a orientation meeting, in a way. And I was taking notes, and then suddenly I looked up and I saw tears in her eyes. And I was like absolutely shocked. And the first words, of course, I'm so sorry, what have I done and what have I said, etc. And she said, no, it's just that you're just taking notes, you're just focusing on what I'm saying, and I thought this meeting was about knowing who I was. And in that culture, connecting as humans, of course, everywhere it is important, but connecting as human beings or connecting as people comes first, much more than, just knowing what the person is doing, etc., etc.
Yeah, so
And maybe the world also has changed, but at that time in India it was a bit more hard-cut, more professional conversation that used to happen. So, and from then on, of course, it was different. So, I think Philippines was there, and how it made me understand India better also was that I think when you're pushed out of your own environment and you see something from a distance, I think you notice things about the culture, the country, which you have not noticed before. It's like when people say, when we go to space, we find Earth looking much more beautiful. On the other hand, we also see that it is getting covered by smog or dust, etc., and you just feel the impact of that. So I think it was both of those things when you're working outside the country for the first time.
Yeah. So and then coming back to now your this venture, which is really doing, and you always say that this startup in a big conglomerate.
Yes.
How it is, and it's quite exciting to really see that the way the brand is really growing. But it's good to hear from you that about what it is and what is your vision, what you are looking at it.
So a couple of things. Whenever I worked in many different categories, like selling wheat flour, salt, of course soap, soup, shampoo, beauty products, etc. And I've always, whichever category I worked in, I've always immersed myself in that because that's the way to have fun. So whether it was in food where I learned how to cook, or whether it was in beauty products where I, wore lipstick for the first time just to see, how it feels, etc. So it's been absolutely fantastic. And then jewelry, of course, was a totally new category.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I don't think I'd ever been to a jewelry retail store before I started this role. So it's been quite a revelation in terms of understanding the category and what it means to people. In India, of course, it holds a very special meaning because it is so ingrained culturally and emotionally with people.
And plus now gold is becoming very prestigious for investment point of view.
Gold has always been prestigious.
Yeah, and now it is more.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that the movement from gold being seen just as an investment, but also more towards adornment and beauty, I think it is something that makes the category more exciting because people are really seeing it, looking at it with even more loving eyes than they did before. It's been very nice creating a startup within a large organization. We moved very quickly from 0 stores to now we're going to be 39 stores and all of them being very successful across 22 cities. But more than that, I think it has been a delight building a team, which when I joined the organization, we were about just less than 100. And now we are over 2,000 people in the organization in less than 18 months across our stores and in the office. I always feel when I joined the new category and in this new startup, I saw myself both as someone bringing together a set of experts in the industry, because I wasn't an expert in the industry. But at the same time, also, it took me back to being a management trainee again.
Yeah.
So I'm management trainee and CEO again. And I tell my team that, okay, you guys are all PhDs in jewelry and I'm baby kindergarten, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
So it's, and I think with that mindset, it's been very exciting.
I can relate to that. I say myself is a management trainee of a startup as well, so I can relate that. So maybe last question on this is that you're growing rapidly, you're really doing things as well, but more from a building culture point of view. What do you really do? How do you really make sure that the rapid expansion taking place and yet you are being in touch with employees? What do you really do?
I think culture is very important.
Yeah.
And that old cliche that culture will lead strategy for breakfast or lunch or whatever, I think is really true.
Yeah.
And it's especially true here. You see, when I came here, one of the biggest differences that I found, Anish, was when I was working in Unilever, most of the people around you were people who had grown up in Unilever.
Yeah.
So there was some set of values and culture that started getting embedded. In our organization, most of the people who have joined this organization is new. So nobody has worked in this organization before. Everyone is coming from very, very diverse backgrounds. I think we have people working, if I count the number of companies, they've come from maybe 35 or 37. And we have 500 people within the office who have come together suddenly within 18 months. And we have to start working together and at pace and building something new. So getting a culture within the organization going was very important. And we really had to dig deep into ourselves to say, what is culture?
Yeah.
Before we start saying, okay, let's develop a whole culture. And the way we did it was we came together first as a leadership team and said, okay, let's just come to the same level of thinking on what is culture. And we said, okay, for us, culture is how do we behave with each other to achieve a common purpose in the best possible way and the fastest possible way. Yeah. So that's how we defined it, trying to ground it actually in a way that we understand each other. And then we got an extended leadership together. And this was not like going away for an offsite or something. We just came together for literally 3 or 4 hours. And we said, okay, if we had to define how do we want to work with each other to create the best possible output, what do we want to do? And we wrote down, everybody came and talk, and we literally created a word cloud. And from the word cloud, a few things that stood out. One was being grounded and close to the consumer.
Yeah.
The other was a lot of action. One was we need to collaborate with each other well and understand each other well, because we all coming from different backgrounds. And the fact that we are coming in new, we need to be innovative. So then we created this word called CALL, and we said in Indriya, our calling is call, which is C for consumer centricity, A for action orientation, L for leadership with innovation, and the other L is listening and collaborating.
Oh, that's nice. So it's such a nice acronym.
So it's a bit sticky, and that's what we try to then use with each other, either as calling out behavior or even celebrating behavior.
Yeah, nice. We'll move to the next last section and few rapid questions.
Yeah, okay.
So a book that you can recommend and you really like.
Good to great.
Good to great. Okay. A daily habit that keeps you grounded, because you talked about this quite a bit.
Actually, there have been various habits in various parts of my life, but I think nowadays it is intermittent fasting. It keeps me disciplined.
Okay. And a risk you would take again?
It is a risk I didn't want to take but was forced on me, but now I would take it again, which is not being in my comfort zone.
One line you live by?
Try your best.
Okay. Maybe one last question. One line on all things people.
One line on all things people. Care and always grow.
All right. Okay. So thank you. It's a pleasure having you here, and I'm sure our audience will gain a lot from this.
1,